You played at Wembley, Queen's live concert. How big a buzz was that?
It was so
Did
good.
you actually meet Freddie Mercury?
Yeah, I did. I met him before that at a TV show, and he was a massive Alarm fan.
Right.
That's where I got to know him, so he was great to me, and he just said, if you ever want here's my phone number if you ever want any advice and all this sort of thing. And then next minute we got invited to play with him at Wembley.
How big a buzz was that?
That was amazing. In fact, the night before, INXS were on the bill as well.
INXS, yeah.
And the night before, our drummer and I'd gone to bed like a good lad, like it was cup final day. Don't
get to bed early.
But the drummer broke the rules and went out, and which is fair enough. And he bumped into Michael Hutchins from INXS, and I think they did some nefarious substances.
Right.
And so when on our way to Wembley, we were picking up our drummer Nigel, and his wife said, he's only just got in. He's in bed still. And we're going to have to wake him up, get some coffee in him, So I thought, I'm going to Wembley. I want to get there and have a kick about the pit. I can't wait. So I went on the tube with our keyboard player Mark Taylor, and I went on the tube and I walked down Wembley Way with all the fans, and that was the best thing I ever did.
Wow.
Because it made me appreciate what I was going to. It wasn't just another gig now.
No, that was something special.
I walked down Wembley Way, saw the Twin Towers. I was stopping for photographs and sign autographs with fans. And
so you played at Wembley.
Got their buzz as well, and it was Status Quo fans and Queen fans. Could have a great gig. I was jammed in the tube with them all, and it was amazing. And then I've got my passes so I could got into the stage and then went out on the pitch and kicked the ball about and think, Mike Peters is playing at Wembley, wow. And my mum and dad came down for it, and they were so proud, and I had a photograph of them on the stage with Harvey Goldstein, the Harvey Goldsmith, wasn't it, the old promoter that was the big name in those massive concerts at the time. And then Queen had a massive party at Kensington Roof Garden.
Did you join them?
Oh yeah.
It's
a kind of magic tour, and they gave us these wands, and when you opened up, it was your invite to the party.
Oh right.
And you had to get in the lift to go up to the roof, and it was all security. But when you got in the lift, all the catering staff and the bar staff and the concierges, they were all absolutely naked, but they were painted. All had their clothes. They had painted.
Oh right. So nothing.
So at first oh my goodness! So it was proper decadent Freddie Mercury party. That was brilliant.
You've been involved with producer Tony Visconti. Visconti, of course, was linked with
Bowie,
for Bowie, Morrissey, How important is a producer?
Oh, it's
paramount.
It's really important, because they kind of sit outside you and can see where you're really trying to get to,
right? And
can help you make good decisions and bring and sometimes dismantle the chaos, because you're inside it all yourself. Right. It's like I guess it's the same. You need a manager of a football team.
Yeah, of course you do.
Because when you're on the pitch, you can't see the tactic necessarily. Yeah. And someone can say, Bernie, get a bit further forward, or get on his shoulder, or drop a bit deeper. Go wider to the spaces. And that's the same thing with a music producer. They can see what's happening, and they can see the interaction between all the musicians. And maybe say to play one less chord guitar player, allow some space for the drums to come through there, or Mike, look, you've got that second chord to get to the third. You don't need it.
So they gauge you as to where you want to be.
Yeah, they can sort of they can hear the finished article better than you can, because you're involved. When you're playing something and singing it, you're involved in it. You're not really looking at it from the outside.
So if you learn a certain thing about the song or key or whatever, can you override him?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right, you can fight your corner.
Right. Okay.
And challenge.
Right.
And hold out for things, especially once you get older and you've got more experience. I guess same with a footballer. You can stand your ground at certain times and say, I don't think it's right that I go over there, or you use me in this role.
That a few things.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you prove. Sometimes you go out and you prove them right, don't you? If the manager's big enough to take it, they know you're. Especially when you become a leader in the dressing room and you take over a bit of the. You become the manager on the pitch. Maybe, I don't know. Sometimes it's like with the producer. You can stand up to them at times. When you're young.
Yeah, you just go with the floor.
You're too hot-headed. You lose it, and you make your argument by screaming and shouting. It's not when it's measured. When you've learnt to accept that it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
The
They're there to help you.
Someone's there, exactly, there's the words I was going to say.
Yeah.
They're there to help you and help the situation. And then you take the best of what a producer can give you, and you give your best to the producer, you know.
Right.
They're in, and they all work in different ways. Tony was a really quite calm.
Yeah, he looks like
he would
calm.
work 9 until 5. Or 10 until 5, or you'd go till 5:30. Something really good was happening. But when you got to the end of that, then it'd be time to go home. He said, "Look, we can only be creative for so long. When we start doing those recording sessions that spill over, they start
midnight,
10 till 5, then they become 11 till 6, and then it's no one's turned up till 6 o'clock, and you're working till 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Then you're defeating the object. You're just chasing something that's not going to help the situation. So when the time is done, walk home." Start again the next day and have some time away from it. And whereas other producers can be the opposite, they can be, you know, ready to go all night, and they want to get you into situations where you're tired and you're a bit vulnerable, and maybe they find that's a way of getting the best out of you.
Right.
But you know, I worked with Steve Lillywhite when it was singing with Big Country on a song, and he was like singing to. It was like he was in front of you, like the choir master. He was like making you give your all, you know. It was like going out at Wembley Stadium. You felt inspired. He would really big you up before you gave a performance. And that was great. That was he wasn't just like, take 2, you know. He was like, come on, you know. And he really
sometimes you need that.
Yeah, so some managers are like that. They're inspired. Some are just quiet and calm.
Some need a bit up the backside. Some need a cuddle.
That's it, exactly.
You know what motivates
that's
you. You mentioned Billy Duffy, the Cult. Is he your pal as well as your...
Yeah, he is, I've
been to see the Cult. I'm a big fan of the Cult.
Yeah, we're playing with them on July the 4th.
Oh, yeah, right.
In Cardiff, so it's going to be great. And we met through playing football at the Phoenix Festival. I was a massive fan of Billy, and he was always my favourite guitarist.
Right.
And then we played in this football tournament. We got talking about football, and then we both realised we liked climbing in the mountains. So I invited up to Wales, and we went on this hike up Moyle Shabod in North Wales, and we just connected. And it was at a time when the Cult wasn't happening, and I was the Alarm. And I think we were good for each other because he was a guitarist and I was a singer, and I think we learnt more about I learnt more about how a guitarist thinks and operates. Because I didn't have there was no agenda with Billy. We were just mates. You know, it's like he played for another team, and I played for this team. But it allowed me, to understand. You know, if I had to play with the inside forward, and I was thinking, he's getting on my nerves. Then Billy would say, well, I'm an inside forward, but I won't give you the ball because I know what I've got to do with it. And I thought, you're probably right, aren't you? So it allowed me to understand the role of my other band members better by talking to someone else who's in another band. And I think vice versa. It was good for Billy to talk to a singer who wasn't his own singer. And then and I'd say, well, he's only doing that because he's got to protect his voice for tomorrow night, or he's got, he's thinking about, it's the muscle world, whatever it is, the vocal codes, and rather than you've just got to play with your fingers, and I didn't think of that really, because you get caught up in a band, it all becomes centric on your world, and you become a bit selfish and a bit blinkered really. You just think,
tunnel vision.
You don't stop looking at the other person around you in a way. So it was good to talk to someone. It was good therapy for us both.
Therapy. After years of success, you announced well on stage in Brixton '91 that you were leaving the band. Did the members know? Did the band members
not
know?
At the time, no.
Oh, they never.
I was a bit of a David Bowie fan.
No, but I was Bowie done that. Yeah, I was going to say Bowie done that.
It's the anniversary, 50 years since Bowie did it, isn't it?
Nice.
So, but it was just I think really what happened was our guitarist Dave he was becoming frustrated in the band. He wanted to become the singer. He wanted to write more songs. So they let him do a solo album, which I think was a good thing for him, but at the wrong timing. We'd only just put out our 5th album, and then 2 months later they're putting Dave's solo album out, and he wanted to go on tour and play that record, which is perfectly understandable. And so he said He said, look, I'm not touring beyond the Brixton show. In fact, that wasn't even on the diary. It was the label and our managers put that gig in to film it so they'd have something to promote the album, because we'd been offered a tour with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the Into the Great Wide Open tour, but Dave said we wouldn't do it. So he said, I've got my solo album. So it's the first time someone put the band, their own interests ahead of the band.
And
and at the Brixton gig, Dave announced at the sound check that he wasn't staying around for a wrap-up meeting the next day.
Right.
He had to leave straight after the gig because he was flying to America. He was playing New York the next day.
Right.
And the cameras were rolling, and when we went on stage, I thought Dave was going to say, "I'm leaving the Alarm and playing in New York tomorrow. I've got a solo album out." And when he went up to do his song, he completely blew the intro. He looked really nervous,
Right.
and that's not in the film because it got cut.
Right.
But that I thought, oh, he's going to leave the band now, and he didn't. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll do it then at the end of the set.
You did it for him, yeah.
And then I went because that's what I was doing. But really, it was all over by then anyway.
Right.
You know, Dave had brought some challenges into the band, which is fair enough. I could respect his ambition to want to do that. Then our drummer found his dad, who'd been our manager at one time. He'd committed suicide. My sister had a brain hemorrhage, and only, you know, is still not. We have no community. Still alive from 1989. We had the brain hemorrhage, and we've never been able to speak to her ever since. We have no communication. She doesn't know who we are. She's still alive. So it's kind of like a purgatory all of its own. And all those we were too young to deal with those things. You know, we were too apart.
Yeah, mature
we were stuck in this bus, and we were all, and it just wasn't. We just changed our real manager, Ian Wilson, who'd been U2's agent. We'd let him go in 1980s. Everyone ganged up on him and got rid of him. 3-1.
Yeah.
He's gone, and that was the biggest mistake. 'Cause really, we were tied together. The five of us were great. And that left us open to all kinds of outside influence from all sorts of directions.
Yeah.
And that really created a division that we weren't ready to, and we didn't have the mental skills to.
Did your other band members confront you after the gig and go, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Well, I'd gone. I watched, because at the time I was trying to get home every night to be near my sister, and try to take her friends, help her communicate, find a way to communicate. So that was my natural modus operandi. Oh, we're in, are we? All good, Ant?
Yes, that's your paramount importance.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, right.
All good?
Okay, mate.
You got people in? Okay, great.
Brilliant. We're going to buy an album. 2005, the band reunited TV program. Why did you go on that?
Well, it was VH1. I didn't know it was beyond our control. I got doorstepped at a gig by the cameras saying, "Will you reunite the band?" I said I signed the record, and then they thrust all these contracts in my faces, and I thought I'm not naive enough to sign that kind of stuff anymore. Yeah. So I phoned the rest of the band and said, "I've just been," and they were like, "Well, we've already been had," and it was like, "Well, okay, so why didn't you tell me?" "Oh, well, you're breaking the contract." I said, "I haven't signed anything yet."
Right.
So I thought, I'm glad we did it, but I think it was a bad move on their behalf because they were doing better reforming the band than coming to play Barrowlands.
Yeah.
Instead, they signed it away to do a TV show that they didn't control, and then I held off my acceptance until the last second. Yeah. So that I said to them, "Well, you've got to film." They only wanted to film one song and make the show out of all the interaction.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, and I said to the band, if we're going to play, we've got to play at least 8 songs." And we got a whole massive audience flew in from around the world, and which my wife Jules organised on the forums. And then I even played for them out in the queue, the ones that couldn't get in, but we played 8 songs, and we got MTV VH1 to film it, and then I said at least we can put a record out of it. So that was part of my negotiation to be part of it. We're going to make a record out. We're going to make a DVD. So at least there's some recompense to this for everyone, rather than just we get a free hotel and a flight to London, you know. So and it was on film. So it was like Brixton. It was like the end of the band happened in Brixton, and the beginning of the future sort of happened on camera at VH1, so everyone could see those 2 moments and see the honesty behind the situation, really.
You did the Wales song for 2020.
Yeah.
For the football. How proud were you to do
that?
Oh,
it's amazing. When I got offered would you be interested in writing a song for Wales? But and I realised Wales women were playing Wrexham the next day.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll come and meet you and all the FAW at the game. and so I wrote the song straight away.
Oh, did you?
And I bombed it up to the racecourse ground at Wrexham and played it to the board of the FAW in the boardroom of Wrexham's ground. And I said, look, it's going to be a song about. It's not going to be about the team, like they usually are. It's going to be about the fans and where they come from and what they do to get to the game. And it's going to be called the Red Wall of Cymru, which is the fans' name for themselves. And they went, sounds amazing. And I said, well, we'll do the video with all the fans, and I'll get the fans singing on the record and everything like that. And
brilliant. I've seen a clip. It looked very good. Enjoyment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good.
Have you got an MB?
I have, yeah.
I seen MBLL. Is it LL?
DL.
What was that mean? I mean,
I'm a deputy lieutenant of.
Do I have to salute you?
No, not really. It was just I knew the Lord Lieutenant in North Wales, and he wanted somebody younger in him, because my role is really to recommend people to go to be honoured at the King's Garden party.
Right.
So I can invite people. I can't go myself, but I'm on the lookout for people who do good things in the community, and then invite them to the. And then obviously a big cancer activist who having leukemia almost my adult life, and so I've done a lot of speaking at World Cancer events and helped build cancer centres in Africa and Nepal and Peru and do lots of cancer initiatives. And on the front line, we don't do cancer research stuff. There's great organisations that already do that. When I was diagnosed and going through treatment, I felt there wasn't enough support on the very front line. It was all being left to the NHS, which was creaking under the pressure. So I thought, let's support the NHS. Let's get money to the nurses, let's get money to the carers, let's get money into the infrastructure and benefit kids who are going through cancer. And that was our really aim. And so whenever we do, we came up with the idea of doing hikes to mountains, because when I was having chemo, it was important. I wanted to regain my health, and I knew I'd get my health back if I was at the top of the mountain. I knew that's how I can get back. I'm back.
You're back, all right.
And that was it. And so. But we decided to give all the money to what was in the shadow of the mountain. So when we did Snowdon, it all went to Wales. When we did Ben Nevis, we gave it to Maggie's cancer centres in Scotland. When we climbed Everest, we gave it to the Back to Bore Cancer Centre in Kathmandu. And when all the Sherpa found out we were climbing for their community, and the King of Nepal did, he invites us to do a gig in Dubar Square. We played 30,000 people live on TV in Nepal, and we've got a great relationship with Nepal. We've been back to Everest twice, and we're going again on the 20th anniversary in 2027. So I've got to stay alive for that.
Oh, you'll be alive. You'll live to 150. Couple of last questions. 2023, new album out, Forwards. Was it written all in the hospital?
Most of it, yeah. It was. I'd had my guitar brought into the hospital, like I said earlier, and it was really just to keep my fingers going. But then, the beds were spread apart because of the protocol of the pandemic. But then the other inmates, as we used to call ourselves, were going, play it a bit louder. We're enjoying it. Your guitar, above the hospital noise, and the hospital noise, the bleeps, and the heart, the heart monitors, and the alarms going off in the treatment. So when they're running out. They became a little rhythm track, and the next minute, I even picked up the hospital radio, put the little old headphones on, and heard the John Lennon song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, and I thought, never mind the night, John Lennon, what am I going to get through life? And I wrote a song called Whatever Gets You Through Life, and all this sort of stuff, and then it became the album, and it's it's coming out today, and it's already had the best reviews ever had. Yeah,
I've read a few. I've watched a lot of your stuff because you've been in New York recently. You've come back. You've done loads of gigs. I've been watching the live things.
We're in New York next Friday and Saturday, and then we're playing with the Colts on July the 4th. And
brilliant.
Getting ready for the new season.
Come on. On a sad note, Gordon McQueen passed away. Man United legend, Middlesbrough coach. I knew Big Gordon very well. Sad,
Yeah, it's really sad. We've got two of the bass players in the Alarm. We're all Leeds United fans, so we've got this big rivalry. When players have crossed the divide, they're still unite us as much as they divide us. I think.
Of course.
And you see the outpouring from the Leeds fans.
Yeah, they'll come together.
It's a shame it has to come together when someone's passed away.
Yeah,
and they can't sort of celebrate people's lives
when they're alive.
Exactly.
It's like they build statues of people when they're dead. They don't build them when they're alive.
But because those Mo Johnston's going to play across the divide in Scotland. Ultimately, it will bring people. It might be a shock horror at the time, but it should bring people together, because rivalry is to be celebrated. You know, I see my cancer as a rivalry. I see it as that's my Old Firm game. You know, it's in my body. So we live in the same city. So my job is to defeat it every time. But sometimes it will get a win against me, but I don't get angry with it. I don't get pissed off with it. I think I'm going to get better to beat it next time. And I see it as a rivalry, and I learn to respect it rather than hate it, and let it be something that divides my immune system. It's there to be. I have to embrace it ultimately, and that's how you get through life.
Right, Mike, thanks very much. I'm coming in because I'm going to.
It was a great pleasure.
I love football.